So the first quarter of 2025, the federal government spent $308 billion on interest, just the federal government. So times 4, that's about 1,200 billion. It's about 1.2 trillion a year on interest. What gets me a little worried is when people say, "Oh, the billionaires can pay for it. Oh, tax the billionaire, tax the billionaire." So we got about 980 billionaires in the USA. Grant you, like Elon Musk has like 300 billion or something, but the vast majority of them are in the single digit billionaires. So the government spends 1,200 billion just on the interest alone every year, and there's 980 billionaires. So if you take all the billionaires' money, and you just put it towards the interest of the federal debt, like what, it'll last like 2 or 3 years on just the interest. If you take all the billionaires' money, every single penny. So when people go, "Oh, we got to tax the billionaires more," okay, let's take all their money. Then it's gone in 2 or 3 years, and then we still have a debt problem because we just paid the interest. That's all we did was pay the interest for 2 or 3 years. If we took all the billionaires' money, and then what? Then what's going to happen? Well, we got to take the millionaires' money. Like, they got a spending problem. So they got a spending problem, and this idea that the billionaires can pay for it is ridiculous. So whenever somebody says tax the billionaires, I almost think, no, we should lower the tax on the billionaires, right? No, lower the tax on the billionaires until we get a government that can financially handle the money. Don't give them any more money. It's like giving somebody your money, a handler of your money, whatever, an investor, your money, and they just suck at handling your money. They suck at managing your money. You don't give them any more money. You say, "Man, you got to figure out how to manage this money before I give you any more." That's what we got to do. Is we got to say to the U.S. government, which is why I kind of, we got to say, "Hey, you got to figure out how to manage this money, or we're not giving you any more," because this is insane. This is insane. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. I mean, think about it. 300 billion in a quarter, so that's 1,200 billion in a year just on interest for the federal debt. There's 980 billionaires. And then you got state debt, you got federal, you got city debt, you got personal debt, you got, colleges got debt, everybody's got debt. Right? So, I wouldn't mind taxing the billionaires and kind of distributing the wealth a little bit. I don't mind that. I'm not completely against that. But it's got to be done right. Right? You can't do it with a government that can't manage money. I mean, it's stupid. It's so stupid, So, sorry, I'm bleeding my clutch. So I'm pumping my pedal. But that just really irks me when people go, "Oh, we got to tax the billionaires more." No. And the more I think about it, the more I think we should just cut the taxes to the billionaires. Don't even tax them at all until the government gets their shit in order. The government's got to get their stuff in order. I mean, it's like you're giving your wife a credit card and she keeps buying stuff and you can barely even afford the interest. And you're like, "Honey, you got to stop buying stuff. You got to stop buying stuff," right? And then I've dealt with people like this, and they're manipulators. I got a guy working for me right now that will never admit that he comes to work dirty, and the customer complains that he comes to work dirty. I'm a mover, so it's really important that you come to work clean because you're touching their furniture. And this guy's touching their walls as he's hanging pictures and putting handprints on the walls. And I confront him like, "Hey, you're coming to work dirty. You got to come to work clean." And then he goes, "Oh, look at your shirt." And I go, "Well, my shirt's brand new because I bought like a pack of 10 wife beaters, for like $10 or something from Walmart. So I just been wearing a new one every time I go to work." And it's like, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, "He'll never admit that he's dirty. He'll never admit it." And I'm like, "The customer thinks you're dirty. I think you're dirty." And then I can't. So he'll never change. He'll never fix it. So whatever. He doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to come to work clean. I can't bring him to my jobs in because he's gonna give me a bad reputation. But with the government, it's like you're forced to pay. You can't just opt out. It's like we should opt out and say, "Hey, you got to get your thing in order, or we're not paying you. So that's what, another problem I just have with the Democrats, that they just don't come to terms with that. Like, oh, the billionaires will pay for it. Not going to work out, We got a spending problem, a huge spending problem.